Hi, how are
Oh,
ya? Hi,
eh.
Tamara.
Let me just turn off. Oh, actually, that reminds me of something. There's loud in here. Okay. I was just watching Joe Yee and Ali Zach. They're going live. So,
Oh, they're live as well right now?
yeah, they haven't talked in a long time. It's cool.
Oh, wow. All right. Let me,
Um,
how's my volume?
good. Uh,
All right.
okay. Tomorrow, I don't know you, but I think I replied to you actually on like a Girl in the Universe comment, like post like a few weeks ago, and I don't know. I feel like my comments didn't get they weren't visible or something. So I've been meaning to reply actually because I think you asked for like music recommendations.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh, is that
I
her? Hi.
don't
I
know
heard about
what
you.
she has, and then I wasn't able to. I don't know if you received it. So um, I don't know if she was blocking my comments because I was saying some stuff that might have been like controversial or in conflict with what she was saying. Um, but yeah. So
Oh, wow, that's really cool that you're here with us. So did you get those song recommendations? Is that what the yes is? Or did she said yes on the chat? I don't know if she means like she got it or she.
yeah. Um,
Oh no, yeah.
um,
She didn't see
find
it.
back what I wrote or yeah. But Jason Mraz, I'd recommend him during these times. It's pretty ridiculous how many song lyrics he has that are fitting. I was actually guided that 93 Million Miles is like prophecy of the Flash, one of his songs. Really beautiful song. And he has a lot of songs actually about the sun that I was specifically trying to like convey to that community about like the Sunshine song I sang last week when I was live with Francis. And Disco Sun is another really good sun themed one. Uh, just so many that are related to like spirituality and physics. And I've been guided that he was Paul McCartney in a past life, and that his music is like the soundtrack of the ascension, basically. Um, and it's
Have it
yeah,
all. Look for the
the whole
good.
Look for the Good reggae album is just eerie in terms of how fitting the lyrics are for this time. It came out in 2020. It's a reggae album, and it's just the most high vibrational like album ever. And his music, it's per physics. Like he's literally destined scientifically to become a legend because of where humanity is headed. And I don't even think he realizes. I think I'm meant to awaken him to just how important he is. Um, because I was told I was John Lennon in a past life, so there's that. If I didn't tell you this ever before, if you never saw my page or anything, I've been talking about some crazy stuff. But anyway, how are you, Francis?
I'm really good. I just finished recording a podcast with the guy who owns this RV park. So that was fun.
Cool.
Yeah, and yeah, I wanted to say something about the Flash real quick, because so I've been talking to this guy called Ryan. His Instagram name is Kasuma Healing, Kasuma.healing. I don't know if you follow him. Is it Tamara or Tamara? Um, but yeah, I had a session with him the other day, or no, I think it was yesterday, and he was talking about how he sees the Flash as so. Okay, let me try and preface this by basically his main sort of message for me or point of discussion was going inwards even more deeply and loving ourselves more deeply. And a way that we can do that is if we're like in a situation where we're not really perfectly happy, like our family maybe are triggering us, but not really in a very, I guess, in a kind of more subtle way. He was saying, like, how can you love them more? Um, seeing as they are simply a part of you, because we're all, everything is a reflection and a projection, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he was talking specifically about my husband, like as an example, but just like as a generalization, that he was saying that a lot of couples are, starting to um, redefine their relationships, and it's an opportunity to kind of, if there's something about your partner that you feel is kind of annoying to you or inconvenient to you, like how can you look at that and say, hey, they're just reflecting to me something within myself that I still need to see and love more deeply. And that doesn't necessarily mean that your relationship might improve. The goal is really to just love yourself more deeply. And he was saying, I don't know if I'm going to articulate this well, but once we are able to love all of the little pieces, even the ones in our blind spots, like the love within us is just able to express itself so much more because there aren't any blockages anymore. And we're able to also receive that love, and that will just start reflecting back as well. And he was saying that that's what the flash is, or what it's going to be, just like this, like bursting of love out of our heart, our heart chakras, or our whole being. Yeah, that's what he was saying. That's what the flash is. It's like coming from within us.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I haven't looked into him too much, but I know you sent me a few things that I really thought were great. And I was getting a few insights too before about the Flash a little bit. Just it's so tricky because I've been misled by spirit so much about possible dates of it and sort of the nature of it and whether it's a moment in time or whether because of time dilation, if it's sort of this ongoing thing that is happening really gradually and gently, because otherwise, would that amount of influx of light be too high of a frequency for us to handle? For most people who haven't done shadow work, would it kill a lot of people? Would it be very apocalyptic if everything sort of collapsed in the last days or weeks very quickly? And a lot of people didn't understand what was happening. Um, and then I was getting some guidance on the possibility of it being a sort of other sort of calculus curve thing where we're at this point, perhaps around now, and with these eclipses recently, maybe leading through like 777 portal. I'm getting a sense that we might hit this sort of apex point where there's enough awareness and enough light workers to sort of gently guide the rest of humanity through it so as to sort of ease the transition from 3D to 5D so that it's not like this sense of dying to go to heaven on earth and more of a sense of heaven sort of slowly coming here, basically, like one
Yeah.
true at a time, one sort of ray of light at a time, one like unclogged meridian at a time collectively, and then just sort of helping people learn how to do shadow work and learn how to um, yeah. So it's just tricky because there might be this point though where um, it's such tricky. Yeah, I'm still awkward about like talking about my whole situation and everything. So
You got this, Michael.
okay, so because of everything I've been guided about this being Neo thing, where I basically spirit has basically proven to me that I'm the individual second coming of Christ, and that collectively this is all of us. And I'm not better than anybody. I'm just a messenger. It's not a savior thing. Um, and I'm at such a point of awareness now where it's so patently obvious how we teach people how to ascend and how to blend heaven and earth physics wise, that it really is, given the virality of the internet. I mean, we've seen a lot of dumb things go viral and get like a billion through the internet. So um, and it's just such a trippy, humbling thing to be like, I feel like I don't want to like there's no ego involved in it for me, and it's not about me. It's just like, but I'm learning how to like deduce the future through quantum physics because everything is now. So if I'm able to use the lottery to deduce my soulmate, to connect soul family, literally like Desmond in the final episodes of Lost, like I just made a post on that recently, then we might hit a point in the next month or so where stuff goes viral. I mean, I might be underestimating just how important. I mean, I know the information I've been guided on is what we need to transcend death, to transcend needing money, to transcend all limitation, all suffering. It's really just physics at this point. It's so obvious. So it's a really overwhelming position to be in. But yeah. So there's so many things to talk about.
Yeah, talk about, you said you had some downloads today. I want to hear about that.
Um, okay, yeah. Last night I got some massive downloads. So I've been going through a ridiculous time with trying to connect with my soulmate, basically, Trinity. Um, and um, so, okay, do you want me? I don't want to say too much about what I've been guided about you if you don't want me to fully, but we're like soul siblings, basically. And I was basically guided that you are my sister, at least in another incarnation, and that we had other connections possibly. And it's still clarifying as to all the different lifetimes we might have been in together and all the different roles we might have played. But basically, um, we feel like we've basically been soulmates in other lives and siblings and maybe pets of each other or who knows, right? So, and we both love Dolores Cannon and the way she explains everything. And I feel like she's my main guide based off of her sort of presenting herself to me. And I was speaking last week about how I got a whole bunch of downloads that like mirrored perfectly her clips, old clips of her.
Yes.
Uh, so what was I saying? I forget what I'm saying all the time. But
Thank you. My daughter just brought me some flowers.
oh, that's good.
Hmm.
So she okay. So Frances might be like a doppelganger, avatar, meaning she might share a soul with this girl who might be my soulmate in this lifetime. And then I guess there might be several versions of us having connection with our own particular soulmate in this lifetime. And so I've basically been trying to reach out to this girl tactfully because she's a family friend. It's really awkward because it's hilarious because our family is so ridiculously interconnected that it's and because I've been learning that there's no coincidences for physics and it's just like every action has an equal and opposite reaction and the human mind can't conceptualize the depth of patterning and quantum entanglement until you get to higher levels of awareness, and then it starts to be like a picture it's like if you're going up higher and higher and you can see a crop circle more clearly, or you can see a puzzle that's or like you're going up a mountain and you can look back down the mountain and realize, oh, all those forests at the base of the mountain where I got stuck, in the wheel of karma, there's like a bunch of dead ends, and like now you can see how everything that you went through you needed to go through, and once you're close to the top, it's like many paths lead to one destination, and you sort of like align with the divine destined ascended timeline, and you basically transcend free will for divine will. Anyway,
I
but
like that visual.
yeah,
The
so
view is nicer
yeah.
from up here, right?
Um, So it's just been really emotional for me because I'm like developmentally like a 13-year-old basically from missing life.
Calibri.
And so I had never asked a girl out before. I only had one serious relationship. I didn't have my first kiss until I was 29. It was actually on this girl's 12th birthday. Um, she's 17 years younger than me chronologically. She's 18. Um, and
Hey, Michael.
yeah.
Can Calibri join?
Sure.
Okay, but you can carry on with your story. I just wanted to ask.
Oh, hi, Clebri. I've been meaning to reply to you. It's been very overwhelming going through all this. I apologize. I appreciated you sending me messages. Um, so, so yeah, I basically was guided. I mentioned it when we were live last week about how it was basically told to me. She had her senior prom last week, and I was basically told to do the Ross and Rachel prom video thing by swooping in like the day before her prom, sending her like videos of me explaining how I deduced that we're soulmates mathematically and scientifically, or at least my perspective. See, here's my human has no way of knowing whether we even have anything in common. Like I haven't seen her since she was a little girl. Her mom and my sister are best friends. Her aunt is my therapist. Her cousin was my only guy friend really in the last 15 years. Um, Her parents are like the closest thing to like other parents to me, basically. Her father is like the closest thing I've had to a father figure in the last 20 years. Um, since my dad passed away in 2002. So
Yeah.
we've just had such ridiculously interconnected families where we all love each other so deeply. And I started recognizing all these numerological connections and all these signs and floods of remembrance, and the fact that our birth years are the same number of years apart as my parents' birth years. And there's just so many other things that, from just an objective standpoint, observing it, I'm like, this I've seen so many coincidences to the point of recognizing how to interpret reality basically through how it I perceive it and
Mm.
language that the universe communicates with. And so coincidences are basically when we perceive it, it's either evidence of the patterns of quantum entanglement or or it's like breadcrumbs being left by our soul to sort of guide us in the direction that serves us most.
Yeah.
That might also mean they're leading us on a dummy trail on purpose to get us to find a blind spot or to heal something. So it can feel really mean at times when we're sort of led on this wild goose chase. And I'm told, like, because I was told, I mean, I was really manipulated into believing it was another girl for like a year through just a whole bunch of seeing her tons and tons pop up on Instagram with liking posts that I liked, and we had all the same like top 30 people that I follow. She like follow like almost all of them, and it just seems so perfect. Um, and then with this other girl, it's like it seems so silly on paper, and yet I'm developmentally actually younger than her because of how much trauma I had and how I was isolated for 20 years.
Yeah.
So um, so I was basically guided to reach out to her the day before her prom, that there might be some sort of fight or some sort of problem that she had with her boyfriend, and then she might have had been single, and then her prom might have been ruined. And just like with Ross and Rachel, where Ross was going to swoop in because her date was running late because his dad convinced him to sort of try to be her knight in shining armor, and he had this huge crush on her, and then his dad talked him into it, and then he got his hopes up thinking this was going to happen, and then the date showed up late, and they were all happy, and Ross was left in the tuxedo, and it was just really sad. And this was captured on a home video that nobody else saw for years, and then he was really embarrassed when Monica, sister, and all the other characters in the show found the video and started watching it, and
Yeah.
so um, because he knew what it was going to show. And then anyway, Rachel saw that he had made this gesture, and then she kissed him, and it was like the beginning of their relationship, how they were lobsters and they're soulmates and everything. So Spirit basically had me record her like an explanation of how I'm Neo and like the math and science of how I've come to this and some of the stuff that's happened to me. And I'm like, I'm being like trying to be charming and self-deprecating and acknowledging how ridiculous this all sounds, but sort of saying that from my perspective, I'm ethically obligated to try to find my partner because the story goes that when Trinity activates Neo, her physics energetically, that's like the king and the queen of the sun coming together, like the solar activity that would result from us connecting would realistically be very, very, very powerful. So would it be the flash? Would it be, so that's the question, as to if I'm able to like use math and science to deduce my soulmate by deducing the future and literally remembering her because my soul has already experienced reaching enlightenment or reaching 5D and has already lived its dream. And it's sort of like guiding us to optimally ascend in the most gradual, sort of satisfying manner to get to heaven on earth. Because we don't want to really die and go to heaven that soon. We'd rather just have peace on earth and have it not stuck with all the corruption, and then get to finally live our dreams without all this interference. Um, Rather than just, I mean, a lot of us might feel like we want to escape and just blend heaven and earth, but it would sort of be terrifying also, if it happened suddenly. So
And
I can't,
bittersweet.
can't comprehend like what might happen if things go viral and there's a lot of people. It's because I can convince quantum physicists, mathematicians, spiritual teachers. It's just about me being confident enough to like explain it in enough detail and have people have enough time to listen and an open enough minds and hearts, because I can unequivocally prove it. Like I'm objectively certain of this Neo thing. So I'm not even concerned about that. It's more just about how painful it's been to go through all of this utterly alone in person with no friends. It's almost as if my higher aspects are guiding me to heal so deeply to where I'm like as whole as you could reasonably be without, so that nothing that I attain through physical manifestation can bail out some of my aspects from doing the work. So it's like they might have this limiting belief that if that thing hadn't come in, then they wouldn't be safe or something. So I'm basically getting to the point of being groomed to be the most grateful person ever. And I like have unconditional gratitude. I literally have like completely brainwashed myself into seeing every single thing that's bad as an absolute blessing in disguise,
Yeah.
because it's just detoxing shadow and allowing us to float up to a higher vibration. And our reality is a frequency match to our field. And I think Einstein even talked about this. So it's just a feedback system that's showing us what we're believing, what we're creating, what we're holding on to. So once we realize that every single inconvenience, every single bit of adversity is just our perceiving it that way because through the lens of our trauma or shadow or our beliefs, our experiences. Once we realize that, and we can realize we're not any of these feelings, it's like Lori Ladd talks about this. I'm basically like the male Lori Ladd, where I just go through flow state, I purge. One thing I wanted to talk about at some point was the notion of bipolar disorder and how it sort of mirrors um, the dark night of the soul experience. And I think sort of Matrix and the pharmaceutical industry tries to encourage people to numb their feelings and to be more even keeled. And it's like they've even, named the high is, it's mania. You're not doing well. You're not happy. It's like, it's a bad thing. And then the lows suck. But what if the lows are an opportunity to go inward and like really feel things, sort of like your uncried tears. Like I've talked about this a little bit in one of the videos I might have posted once about like if we were 4 years old and something upset us. Like if you imagine if you were four, whatever would make your 4-year-old self have a temper tantrum or cry or scream. Every time since then that we haven't done that because of programming to, suppress ourselves out of shame or fear or something, that's basically like tears and mucus that we're choosing to hold on to that is just clogging up and fragmenting aspects of our energetic rivers into broken puzzle pieces, basically. And when I've come to deeply know that when we cry, especially, like a deep, good cry, like a lot of mucus, screaming too is good. The more we can do that, the more obvious it becomes that these are like spiritual tests where it's literally putting puzzle pieces together. It's like it's like light unclogging, the light of our conscious awareness, unclogging.
Dams in the river.
yeah, dams in the energetic river, and then it allows sort of two pieces that were um, not so these aspects are like we're like the higher self of like we're like the principal of a school, like 1,000 kids, and they're like different aspects of our being, different feelings we've had, different traumas we've experienced at different ages, different things we have, shame or fear, all these different programs. Thousands and thousands of things are buried in our subconscious mind. And so basically, this is manifested physically, I believe, as this in this convoluted web of energetic rivers that's split into fragmented pieces instead of sort of having pure energetic flow. And I believe the Kundalini awakening has a lot to do with sort of blowing the dam sufficiently to sort of create more balance in the chakras, and to sort of it almost can be seen as blowing the dam to reconnect our rivers to the sea of consciousness, um, like our higher dimensional aspects, so that we can like allow the energy to flow even across dimensions. I think that's what those orbs of light are too. Where it's sort of like higher dimensional aspects of our being can now flow through this circuitry, these meridians across dimensions, and basically give us airdrops of information that are like intuitive hits. And this is information from aspects of our being that are outside of time, that basically know the ending and can tell us how to navigate optimally, just like a bird knows to fly fast for winter, or a squirrel knows to stock up on acorns. So the future doesn't really exist, but animals know how to interpret this instinctual information to navigate safely. And we humans just seem to forget that everything else in nature doesn't need money or governments or schools to be healthy us and warm and totally fine. And if humans realized how many senses they had, at least six apparently, and could calcify our pineal glands because of fluoride and everything, and align our chakras and unclog our meridians. The more we do it, like it goes outward, and it's like more puzzle pieces come together, more the meridians are, yeah, and then like each cry becomes like an obvious test where it's like, oh, this was an old, deep, painful thing that I forgot I had, and then by really, really feeling it as if I'm that 5 or 10 or 20-year-old that was experiencing this. Sort of like I say, like imagine that some of these aspects of our being are like bullied kids that are like stuck in the locker, and we're just giving them the microphone and empathize, letting them sort of cry through us because they're inner aspects. So we as our higher self sort of have to feel that through us to get it out, and yeah, let out the mucus and integrate. Um, and so this raises our frequency gradually. Because if you imagine, like, wow, if there's been hundreds of times in my life, and maybe my 4-year-old self would have cried, but I didn't, then that might
Mm.
thousands of tears and thousands of tissues worth of mucus that is just somewhere in my field or in wherever.
In your body too, in your cells. It gets stuck in your cells.
So I just see now everything that's uncomfortable as feeling it all the way through, so that we can raise our vibration. And I just see it as detoxing shadow. So, and installing light when I cry. So I'm just going closer to things that are at a high frequency, like love and abundance and peace and freedom, and farther from darker, denser, slower vibrating things like fear and shame and trauma and anger and war, and all these things are just, darkness can't exist in the presence of light. So we don't realize that per physics, if our frequency raises enough, we literally will transcend the constructs of war and disease and everything like that through just conscious awareness. We'll be able to create mathematical proofs that demonstrate that doubt, shame, and fear are illogical, because they're just matrix programming. Like once you realize you're infinite and eternal as consciousness, um, and that there's no such thing as death, and that time is an illusion, you can start to eventually identify more soul. So I've actually been guided that I've transcended death already. Um, and most of us aren't going to ever die again because we're about to enter the age of enlightenment. So, but on the way there, it just hurts a lot to feel all this. So I don't know. I was talking about a lot of different things there.
Yeah, that you covered a lot. Yeah. The pain is intense, but we're built for it.
Yeah,
We're here to feel everything. I share with you about the spirit breathing? 'Cause it goes well with the last thing that you just discussed about, remembering that we are infinite consciousness and that we're basically everything and that we are love and that we are God. And so Ryan, or Kasuma.healing, he invited me to attend his spirit breathing sessions, which he holds every Saturday afternoon, EST time. He's in British Columbia, so it's like morning for him. But I've known about these sessions. I've seen them before. He does them every Saturday. I think he's been doing them for a couple of years now. But he personally invited me, and I just felt like I had to go to it. I just not had to, but I just feel like I'm going. And so I didn't really know what to expect. And so I went in there, and there were I think there was 5 of us. It was a very small Zoom call. And he said, so this is how it works. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some breathing just through our nose. And he said most of the time we should only be breathing through our nose anyway. So it's kind of like what we should be doing. So you breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose. And every time you breathe in, you put both your arms up like this. And then when you breathe out, you put your arms down. And you do this faster and faster. So you're like that. So that's like a Kundalini yoga type thing. So so you go breathe in, breathe out, arms up, arms down. And he said, we're going to do that for 15 minutes. And after that, we're going to do another type of breathing where we lie down. So everyone lies down, and we're going to breathe through our mouth only. And you take a deep breath in through your mouth, one deep breath, but in 3 kind of sections that are continuous. You don't like stop and then start again. And the first breath in, you take your breath into your belly, and then you take it into your chest, the second stage, and then you take it into your shoulders. And then you breathe out. And you start out slow like that, and then he'll guide you to do it faster and faster. And so while you're doing that, there's music, but he's also either talking or breathing with you so you know what speed to go to. And he said the second one, the 55-minute one, you're taking in so much oxygen or like life force, and you do it faster and faster, and what'll happen is you'll eventually reach an altered state of consciousness. And when he said that, I'm like, Ryan, why does that make me feel nervous? Because I still have that aspect of me that's like trying to control things.
yeah,
And he said, that's fine. Just try to approach it like a child. You're curious, like it's something like play. Like just be curious and relaxed about it, and try not to get to that altered state, and try not to not get there, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
So
Surrender.
surrender basically. So I did my best to follow his advice. So the first one was, so he said, okay, in the 55-minute one, it's possible that it would trigger, or it would release a lot of the dense kind of trauma in your cells. So you might end up just spontaneously crying or shouting. Or you might even end up with your hands doing like this clam thing, both of them. Or your feet might raise up. Like you don't really have control of your body just because of all the energy that's going to be coming out of you.
Wow.
And so I told, my family, like, if you hear me screaming, don't worry about it. And so the first thing that happened was the 15-minute one, breathing in through your nose up and down. And I was only like 2 minutes in, and I started crying. And I had my eyes closed, and there was music, and he was guiding. And I instantly went to this place, which was the the kind of courtyard garden of where I grew up. And I could see it from above. And I could see myself as a little girl, like 4 years old or something, and she was in the garden sitting down. And it was so surreal because I was like, I knew that she was me and that I was her soul, or like maybe her higher self. So I was like within her, but also I was outside of her and I could see it from above. Like I could see the garden from above, and I've never obviously seen that garden from above before, in this lifetime. And kind of the message that I got from that was like, you always knew, like all the knowing that you know now, you've always known it. You weren't crazy to, have these thoughts when you were little and you didn't know how to articulate them. And you've always known that you've come here and you've come here for this purpose. And also that her soul aspect, like I've always been with you. It was just it just felt so like loving and so validating and confirming, because when I was little, like I felt like I knew things or saw things in a different way, or like my upbringing, which was a Catholic upbringing, like I just didn't resonate with a lot of it, and I didn't really, you were not supposed to talk about things like that, and so I just kept it to myself because I didn't even have the language for it. But so anyway, so that's the first one, 15 minutes. And then so we did the lying down thing, and this was even more amazing because, like when you reach that altered state, you don't really realize until a bit later that, hey, I've stopped doing that heavy, mouth breathing. You're just kind of like floating. And so the first thing that happened when I reached that space was I felt like I had this vision, and I felt it too, that my body was just like, the feeling when you're like laying on your back in the ocean, you're just floating on your back. You're floating on your back in the ocean, and you just feel kind of weightless and super relaxed. And I saw my body like coming up, like lifting up onto the clouds, and then all of a sudden I wasn't in my body anymore. My friend just joined. I'm just talking about a vision that I got, well, from doing mouth breathing for 55 minutes, that kind of takes you to an altered state of consciousness. This is what I experienced. So I was out of my body and I was just like floating in the sky. And I was this light that was contracting and expanding. And so like when I would contract as this super bright light, it would like contract, like the light would go like vertically like this, and then it would like spread out horizontally and up and down like that, like just all over the place. So I experienced myself as this light that was just like expanding and contracting over and over again. And then after that, but I just felt like I was like all of it. And then after that, I experienced myself as lightning, thunder and lightning.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, like I'm the thunder and light, like it was so crazy. And then like another time, because I kind of was going in and out of it. The third thing that I experienced was I was just nothing, like I had no form. I was just floating in black like space, and I was just everything and nothing. And it had like, some stars and like some kind of little rocks floating around me, and it was just so blissful, and like that I belong to everything and that I am everything, and but I'm also not nothing. And it was just so crazy. Like I've never experienced anything like that. And then another vision came, and it was, like I guess a past life in like this small like island village. It had like huts made of like bamboo and like um like the dried leaves. I don't know what, like nipa, I think that's what they're called. But that was a very quick one. And then the other one was so I I'm hesitant to share this, but basically I met who I believe is my twin soul, or I've been guided that he is, and I've seen visions of us together in other worlds. And so I think I shared with you, Michael, that I keep getting visions of this ancient, super lush forest just covered in greenery, right? I kept getting this vision of myself in this forest under this huge, super old tree, and I would be sitting there with my legs crossed, and I had my eyes closed, and I would be playing with energy with my hands like this, and the energy would be like uh, threads of light, you know, and I would be like playing with them and manipulating them, and it was showing me that I'm an alchemist. And then I saw there was another lady that I connected with through Instagram who is a soul sister of mine. Her name's Naima. She's a painter, and I saw her in this vision as a little girl playing by the trees, on the bottom of the trees. And when I told her this, she said, "That's really beautiful. It's always been my dream to live in a tree." And I told you that part, right? Have I told you that part? Yeah, so then I was wondering, I came back to this vision one night, and I was wondering, like, where does my twin soul, like, where does he come into all this? And I didn't get an answer the first night, but I started to feel his energy in the trees. And then the next time I went back there, I asked the same question, and the answer that I got was like, oh my gosh, like him and I created this forest. We were the ones who made this forest. And so when I was doing the spirit breathing, I saw that the time when the forest wasn't made yet, and we were above something, we were like up in the sky or whatever, and there was this huge like light, which was like the sun, and it was this big ball of light, but it didn't feel hot or cold or anything like that. And I saw him next to the sun, and he was playing his flute, which he plays flute like in this lifetime. He was playing his flute, and I knew that the sound from his flute was starting to create the foundations of that forest.
Wow.
It was like the beginning of that forest. Good night, Tamara. Thank you for joining. Well, I'll post this as well if you wanted to watch a replay later. And then the last vision that I saw was another one with him when we were above the clouds. And I've seen this vision before, but what's different about this one is, so we were in a different world. We were very high altitude, and it looked similar to Earth, but we were like above mountains and things, and it wasn't Earth. And he was sitting next to me, but in this, during the spirit breathing, we turned towards each other and we held hands, like both of our hands, we started holding hands. And I was just like, oh my gosh, but yeah, the rest of it was like, I started to not hear Ryan anymore. I realized that like I can't hear him anymore. And what had happened was my laptop got unplugged and my laptop died. So I became conscious of this, and I was trying to, get myself out of this trance to like get back into my current reality. And so I got up, and then I turned my laptop on, and I went back to the Zoom call. And Ryan said, "Oh, we were just, starting to talk about what we experienced during the spirit breathing, because everyone experiences different things, and it's your turn to share now." So I started to share, and what he said to me was, he said, "Francis, your higher self brought you here to this session because you needed to see and you needed to feel who you really are. That you are all of this, and that we are all just one. Like how Phil says that there's only one of us here. You had to really experience that you are love, which is what everything is, because there's still like kind of blockages in your heart chakra. Like he said, you have so much love within you that you're just like bursting to give to the world, and but also like just like longing to receive all, you know, and there's still like this niggly little part of me that believes that I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
And I was just a puddle after that because I know, you know, I mean, you and I, we've done so much work on this particular, you know, on self-worth and self-doubt and really trying to find who we are at the core, but there's still these little pieces that we still need to bring home. And that's really kind of what he was expanding on in our private session today, that, you know, we're being called again to go deeper, even deeper within and look at those remaining pieces. And once we've done that, it's so powerful. It's basically the grand solar
Yeah.
flash.
Self-actualization.
Yeah. And that we would, you know, like we have to let go of all our remaining attachments to the 3D and really like close the door on that, and we can walk towards the other direction in the world that we're trying to build, and everyone else will magnetize to that,
Yeah.
you know, as long as we are, you know, able to hold this embodiment of who we truly are. And yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you tonight.
Beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
that reminds me also of the massive download I got last night that felt like one of the biggest ever about desire versus passion. Um, what you just said was reminding me of like how we're going to basically gradually transcend time itself because that's a third dimensional construct, that things in nature don't have clocks or calendars, nothing else measures time. It's sort of like a tool of enslavement. And then if we didn't collectively believe it into existence, then we wouldn't age or die. And we would remember that we are just infinite and eternal. Um, so it's really profoundly difficult to 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 sort of heal all the aspects that are still believing deeply that they need something outside of them to be safe or whole or enough or complete. Um, and we're so deeply programmed to be getting somewhere else we think is better, or we think who we are is less than who we're becoming. And so the future, like our dreams and the abundance and the things that we want tend to stay as a mirage that we keep at arm's length. And it's really hard to anchor in presence really deeply because it's like paradoxical because you want to take aligned actions and you want to share your love, but you don't want to force or feel like it's a means to an end. It's like you want to express the love that you are, and so I was getting these huge downloads on desire and passion. And I actually believe, I want to do a couple posts on this. I actually believe this might be a, a big thing. I think they've manipulated the dictionary on purpose with these two words to
Huh.
help enslave us, actually. I think it might be really sinister, possibly, because Spirit was guiding me basically that desire, okay, to feel desire, I think is fine. It's normal to want stuff, to be desirous. Um, and our feelings are no accident. Thoughts are electric. Feelings are magnetic. So, like physicists like Bruce Lipton can explain it much better than me or Joe Dispenza. But so basically, we might set intentions. We're stuck in this construct of time for now. So we might know that we desire certain things and have goals. Um, and then we're meant to surrender and sort of co-create with the universe and tend to the things on the way there that sort of come up for us, because those goals might be at a higher vibration than where we reside currently. So what am I trying to say? So I was basically guided that if we act, are we acting from desire or are we acting from passion? If we're acting from desire, it implies a scarcity mindset where we're seeking something outside of us that provides part of our being some sense of salvation because it doesn't realize that it is love already. Whereas
Mm.
acting passion is basically sharing and expressing the love that you are. And so it's natural to desire to share that love, expand it, and connect with others. But when we're present and when we're acting from our passion, we're being authentic and vulnerable. We know that we're already whole, and we're just excited to express our truth and allow that to go out into the world, and then in divine time we attract physical manifestation and stuff. But um and just the way they worded the definition, I think they worded desire, I think, correctly, but then the example underneath it felt like it was more fitting to passion, and it felt almost like an attempt to sort of conflate the two and convey that there's some sort of positive connotation to desire a little bit. And then interestingly, with passion, it had a little bit of a negative connotation on those. If you Google
Oh.
search it on Google, and it's at the Oxford Dictionary, and it said it had the word impetuous in it. It sort of suggested that it was sort of some sort of reckless quality of
Oh.
uncontrollable emotion, almost as if it's something to be ashamed of. And then underneath it mentioned Christ in another part of the thing. So it's almost like a subtle little linking
Oh.
Christ to impetuous, reckless sort of behavior, and linking desire more to sort of a natural thing that, but it sort of is a way to breed us to be outward seeking and consumers and stuff, I think, potentially.
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
people literally really deeply understood the physics and logic of what the two words mean, and could sort of choose to become aware of their motivations, whether they're more acting from desire or passion. If people could learn how to sort of express their passions and sort of um, surrender, feel their desire, set the intentions, but then let it go and trust that if it's meant to come to you, it will in divine time. It's really, really hard to do that because we're so conditioned to believe that something else is going to make our lives better. And that might feel that way, but the idea is to get to a place of presence and sort of acceptance where you are, so where you're just embracing the journey, because because we want to be where we can really appreciate the things when we get them, and not sort of see it as a box to check, and then the mind wants to go to the next thing. Um, so it really takes a lot of work to deepen this presence where you can embody the love that you are fully, and eventually, if we get good enough at this, we could transcend time more and more to where we sort of just are, and then we could theoretically turn the ship of time around. I mean, it's going to get really trippy because we just see things from this linear time perspective, and we can't. I mean, the solar flash might be ongoing. It might be going until 2050 is what I was guided. It might be like a 50-year long sort of process, but 10 or 20 years from now, by the time we get there, we might have long abandoned counting time. So we might look younger in 20 years from now than we do now. Um, there's sort of a Benjamin Button quality. There's sort of like an undying of like a fixing of the things that we didn't do the way we wanted because we were slaves and didn't realize it. And I'm realizing that because there's no death, and because there's no time in higher perspectives, and because the ending is assured as like this unified source, even though that's another beginning anyway, um, that is the highest frequency. So we can choose as consciousness how far we want to be from source. Vinnie Tolman has talked about that, and I believe that too. Where, especially once we get out of this Earth school and we're aware that we're one with everything, we might choose to jump around and have the variation. We'll go to source for a little bit, or we'll go to some other star system or some other planet or experience, and we'll be some form of physicality, or everything's just part of like the light and sound spectrum. I think it's like music and octaves of frequency and vibration and stuff. What was I trying to say? So I lost my train of thought. But
That's okay. That was beautiful.
uh, um,
It feels like we're really close, though, right? It's
yeah,
just the final little bits.
yeah. So I mean, even if it's not like a moment in time flash, there could still be a threshold where some information gets so potent and some things get exposed in such a way that we reach an apex point where the collective consciousness can, we can sort of look around as a people and start to recognize and feel and intuitively sense our power and our connection, and that we're not meant to live in this enslaved way of being, and that there's we're we're unlimited and we have all this capability.
Yeah, and
Um,
that we actually enslaved ourselves.
yeah, we basically were like unconsciously, collectively created a nightmare because we
Mhm.
forgot we're basically gods and goddesses that are dreaming that we're mere mortals and forgot that we're in this play or forgot that we're in this very real seeming video game like simulation that's just like an opportunity to experience holding more density than we do in most forms so that we can feel things that don't feel good at lower vibrations. Because when you're around for eternity and you know there's no death or time, you're not scared to have an experience of consciousness. And like you wouldn't want to be at source. I had a crazy weird trip once that the spirit showed me what it would be like to experience all light and no darkness, and it was terrifyingly bleak. And it's sort of like if you imagine only being able to hear the highest note on the piano, only being able to watch your favorite movie or eat your favorite food, like it wouldn't be good for very long before you would lose your mind basically. Um, so as masochistic as it seems to come here and be human, we when we realize that we're never going to die and that we just learned things backwards because we were slaves in this next month or few months or whatever, how it progresses and over the next several years as we awaken more and more and ascend. And I think it's going to happen in a very gentle way where we just this sense of wonder and remembrance gradually coming back to us as we sort of put down our burdens and let the light in to replace the shadow that we've been holding. And as that light comes in more and more, it's synonymous with information and love and healing, basically. And it just ascends us up to greater levels of awareness and vibration. And then suddenly things are coming back to us, and it's like a dream upon waking. And yeah, we just chose to have amnesia for a while so that it would feel really, really good when we got back to the light. So,
Yeah, yeah. We secretly enjoy the polarity.
yeah,
Yeah, the analogy I like to give is why is it really pleasurable to have like hot apple pie fresh out of the oven and you like put a huge scoop of freezing cold vanilla ice cream on
right.
it?
Sounds good.
It's yeah. I just remembered a Jason song. Oh yeah, I never knew you.
Oh, yeah, it's such a good song.
That is a good song.
Um,
Oh, we covered a lot.
yeah,
That was pretty deep.
yeah. Um, well, I had a thought before also. So I'm thinking about the 777 portal, and
Okay, yeah.
I'm realizing, okay, so 3 weeks from now is 7/6, and that's, I guess, going to be our fifth episode. Um, I'm starting to suspect just possibilities now. I mean, who knows how long things end up taking longer than we think because this time thing is confusing. But I don't know. I'm hopeful that this summer is going to be really good and a lot of love and a lot of soul connections and traveling more and stuff. So I don't know. It would just be interesting if I feel like I meant to connect with some of my soul brothers soon. I almost feel like I'm about to go to California in the next week or two. Connect with some of these other Beatle past incarnation brothers of mine, um, Ringo and Paul. Um, so I mentioned Paul
Yeah.
was Jason Mraz. I'll hold off on saying who Ringo is, but I've connect with him again or try to connect with one of his friends and then see what happens, because I was guided that we have past life connection as brothers and in other lifetimes too. And um, I just feel like I'm on the verge of really, because I've let go so much with posting publicly, and then all the stuff with that girl, opening up to her. It's really healed a lot of my old insecurities and shame and fear around being vulnerable with girls or being just vulnerable in general. And now I'm being asked to be vulnerable, identifying as Neo. Um, which is not an easy truth to share with other people because it makes you sound pretty crazy. It does make
Yeah. With
it.
the your experience with the girl though seemed a lot more daunting or like more epically,
Yeah,
I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it feels like the Neo thing's a walk in the park because
yeah.
that was a huge purge.
Really painful for me and really overwhelming. She was super sweet and replied and be in her relationship, and I just want to completely respect her privacy and her path. Even if I have suspicion about possibilities, I might fear it might be throw me a curveball and it might lead to something else in a few weeks where another person is my soulmate and maybe we're live and we start to maybe we're connecting with more soul family by then and we have other guests and we have more people watching and then it maybe my soulmate, whether it's this girl or somebody else, maybe ends up watching that episode I'm sensing into pretty. I have a pretty good sense of that maybe. So I could see that night into 777 on a Friday, of course, which is ruled by Venus, which is love. So, and repeating sevens has been this lucky love thing that we've talked about. Repeating twos also. So the 777 is 21, and then the next day adds up to 22. So that's Friday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday there, six, seventh, and eighth.
Summer of Love.
Yeah, that could be pretty interesting what happens. And and then with the girl, I'm basically just really trying to focus on the presence and the passion and healing the parts of me that feel heartbroken or that have desire to connect with my soulmate and like want her now. And so regardless of who it is, it feels like this inevitability that's coming together in a matter of weeks more than months probably at this point. But who knows?
Yeah, you always tell me to let it go to get it back.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been surrendering and just feeling it all, uh, and uh, and just trying to be tactful with her family. And so I'm basically just gonna keep making posts, connect with other soul family members, and try to. There's a playlist of stuff I sent her that's just videos of me explaining it more and videos of me singing certain songs. So as I start to sing other things and post other things, I might add a few things to that playlist just so that if she happens to choose to watch it, that's far enough in, and she'll eventually get to some other songs of me singing that are fitting, like Jason or Beatles or. And I was guided also recently on Weezer that that Rivers Cuomo, the lead singer, I believe is a doppelganger of mine as well. So I messaged him. It would be really interesting to connect with him at some point, or so I've been guided on some of the other possibilities. I don't have to go too deep into all of it tonight, but it would be really interesting, right, if we start to be able to become friendly with some of our doppelgangers that are controlled by the same soul. So it's sort of like us, like the same note, and then it also is interesting. I realized before that it's like there's 12 notes in an octave, and then 12 squared is 144. I realized. I
Yeah.
think 12 is an important number too. So it's just interesting with like the sacred geometry and some of the different how I've had things happen on repeating number dates or anniversaries, birthdays, holidays. Um, there's so much more
Yeah.
to talk about. How I've been commanded with by God, how I've walked on water, and minor detail. and defied gravity and been commanded and shaken. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of things. It would take 20 hours to explain. I don't even remember most of them because it's just constant magic and miracles in my life every day.
Yeah.
Fertility. And yet I don't have any sort of physical proof. I'm just really, really at peace, but then I cry a lot. So I seem like I'm bipolar, but I'm also just outrageously grateful. I literally feel like the most blessed human ever. Um, so even if I'm being manipulated and I'm not the chosen one, if we're all equal aspects of the whole, and there's a collective second coming of Christ consciousness, that's this collective unification, that's really the big thing that's happening, more than any individual. And if Jesus was right about all of us having the ability to do what he did, and if belief is that powerful, then theoretically it would make a lot of sense for Spirit to intentionally groom as many people who are willing to listen and serve, and dedicate their life to following the ascended path, because everybody's capable of ascending. So if somebody's playing the game of life the way that our soul is actually intended for us to, and we're listening enough, and it makes sense for Spirit to try to cultivate an army of Jesus-like sort of warriors of light who are trying to emulate that amount of love and service and yeah.
Yeah, and this is so very real, because it feels more real by the day because I keep meeting people who are, you know, on the same on the
Yeah,
same path and have the same understanding or the same knowing.
yeah, and you can feel
And
like you're at a
yeah,
frequency now where it's like you can start to feel that it's more and more obvious that these things are like meant to come into your path. Like we're attuned to our bodies and our souls in ways that are getting more and more natural. So we
yeah,
don't even really recognize that we're the decisions we're making moment in, moment out. We would feel we're at a high enough vibration now that a lot of the things we used to maybe do when we would get upset or whatever, a lot of the choices, we just wouldn't make those choices anymore because we would feel in our body or in our soul this sort of aversion to it now. And we naturally just sort of navigate and have this ongoing rapport with our soul aspect where it's confusing and it's blended in. It's like at first it feels like it's an imposter and we're like this small human who's scared, and then it gradually becomes more and more like you. Um, and then Spirit's been guiding me to just sort of trust myself more and more and not see it as like, oh, they're telling me this, and because they don't want it to be like I'm just following orders either. And I was even
and
guided,
it's all you anyway.
yeah, and I was guided that even that Jesus actually might have had a blind spot too about being so loving and so um, such a strong feminine energy of feeling and receiving and wanting to serve and like receiving this information. And so I think he was actually loyal so much to Spirit that he might have abandoned some of his own needs at times when like he might have deserved even better than he gave himself, because when you're at a really, really high level of awareness, it's super hard to feel high self-worth when you're aware of how much you can impact other people's lives. And it's easy to sort of get dysregulated and pour from an empty cup a little bit, but Spirit's basically guided me that the more we can really take care of ourselves first, then the better we'll be able to just express our passion and authenticity, and that's optimally going to help more people anyway, because we've been very groomed into codependency as well. So a lot of programming.
Yeah, yeah. Do I know that? Are you gonna try and come to the spirit breathing? I really strongly, I feel very strongly that you need to connect with Ryan.
Okay, cool. I'd like to. Yeah,
But he offers private sessions too
that'd be nice.
for free or by donation.
Oh, cool.
But I think you would get along very well.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Shall we try and wrap up?
Yeah,
It's 9:30. Well, it's 8:30 at your place, right?
10:30.
Oh, I keep getting it backwards. Okay, 10:30. Yeah, sorry, I'm behind. Yeah, it's 9:30 here. Thank you so much. You
You'll catch it.
shared a lot of really amazing things.
Thank you. catch up to you as a Jason song. There's just endless references. We'll just constantly think of lyrics or songs and stuff like that.
Yeah, are you gonna close with a song?
Oh man, let's see. Maybe.
What about This Is What Our Love Looks Like?
Oh, do I know that one well enough? Okay. I could try and then just see which lyrics come to mind. Or what? Do you remember how the first verse starts?
Um, I hang on. Something about I love this day. Oh, I live every moment. No, I is it I let every moment
I let,
say?
I
Is it I let every moment say
let every moment say that
how much
how
I
much
love?
I love this day. There are no obstacles in our way, no mountains to climb. Everything that might look bad is a blessing, carrying us to meet our very strength. There are no accidents, just what is. So go on and ask me then who I am. I have come to be the one stand beside you when the sun decides to bow its head. Come to be your friend. I share with you my secrets till there's nothing left to hide. And when you're feeling darkness, I'll remind you of the light you have inside. Yeah, this is what our love looks like. Let's see. Yeah, I'm feeling a little raspy. It's yeah, I get where I'm like, I know I'm getting more confident
You
gradually.
sound good,
Thank you.
Michael.
And I'm starting to like own the different qualities of my voice. Like, and also I was crying so much in the last week too and screaming, so it fit in along to that Weezer Pinkerton album because I got so many validations like that just streamed in quickly when we were talking about stuff with that girl, and it made me remember all these lyrics on this album, and I listened back and it was like obvious that it was really instant knowing that he's a doppelganger. So it's gonna be fun telling some rock stars, guess who you might have been in a past life. There's a few famous ones that you might have heard of. I'm also curious if possibly Adam Duritz of Counting Crows. I know he's somebody.
Oh,
Whether
you've mentioned him before, yeah.
he's the Rain King and I'm like the Sun King, whether he's a doppelganger on the same note and he was me in another life, or whether he's a note over and he was Jason or Phil or somebody else in our soul family. He's somewhere in this octave of pretty sensitive, passionate, enlightened souls who are writing songs that are a lot more important, some of them, than they probably realize at this point, and have a lot of clues for me and clues for each other. And it's just going to get really trippy the more the music comes together and we realize a bunch of different famous musicians are ascended masters who don't remember.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm excited for this summer. It's gonna be big.
yeah, go to lots of
It's gonna
concerts.
be big.
So maybe who knows? How soon will I connect with Jason? His birthday is a week from tomorrow. What is today? The 15th?
Really?
What's it? Is today the 15th?
Today's the 15th, yeah.
Okay, so it's a week from tomorrow is his birthday,
Wow.
23rd, and that's when the new album comes out too. Magical, mystical, rhythmical, radical ride.
Isn't that an interesting name?
Fun. I love that one. So it's good. Yeah, it's fitting too because it's going to get really trippy. So the Look for the Good was perfect for 2020 and giving people inspiration during the pandemic years. And now it's about we're going to another dimension.
It's just so crazy how it's like the timing of it.
It,
How can he not be aware of it? I'm sure he is.
and then waiting for My Rocket to come. His first album is sort of like we're Curbside Prophets. Literally, that's a song from the album. So we're gonna have like UFO, maybe on 7/7, maybe overnight into that Friday. I connect with this girl or another girl, and you connect with your partner, and maybe we end up being on a UFO together and getting some instructions about what's about to happen on
Are
that.
you gonna give me hand signals so I recognize you? I'll recognize you.
And that's actually Dr. Spock too from Star Trek had a quote about maybe I can sing part of that one then too. The more we share, the more we'll have. The more we care, the longer we'll last. I think it's something like that. And Jason adapted that into a song called "The More We Share." And ironically enough, he actually thinks he wrote the song about socialism. Because even though he was a wise man in a past life, and even though Alex Zek was a wise man in a past life, I believe, they both were Bernie Sanders fans, and they were. I mean, again, it can happen to the best of us. This programming of the Matrix is very advanced, and socialism sounds really good at first, um, until it just starts to look more and more like communism. But anyway, really beautiful, and from my perspective and from the spirit side, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it has other meanings that we could take and not look at it that way. But whatever, no judgment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the tagline. I need that in a bumper sticker. No
It is.
judgment.
Um, Sorry, maybe I'll try to sing part of that. Because yeah, it was like mowing the lawn before I was singing, and I'm trying to gradually get more comfortable with singing out and trying different things and not being as in my head. So yeah, okay. The more we share, how do you start? Yeah, I'm a very optimistic, uh, grateful person. Yeah, attitude of gratitude. Jason and Phil, they say a lot of the same things. Phil Good was apparently George Harrison. Anyway, okay, what key? I never know. Yeah, I always say that.
Just throw it out there.
Yeah, okay. Okay, let me have a sip of drink.
Okay.
Okay.
What are you drinking?
Grapefruit juice. I also had some ice cream, some like Ben and Jerry's churro for churros. It's like cinnamon ice cream.
Oh,
It's
is
good.
it like a cinnamon roll?
Yeah, really good.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm challenging myself. Okay, I'm start singing more often in these lives. By 3 weeks from now, I'll just be like doing more often. Okay. And there's so many fitting lyrics. So it's going to be really fun in different moments to just incorporate naturally. Yeah, being live is still very new to me, but I'm gradually getting used to it. Anyway,
I'm so proud of you,
thank you
Michael.
so much, Francis. Okay. Well, I'm a cup half full. Okay. Well, I'm a cup half full kind of guy, I guess. Even when I'm thirsty and there ain't nothing left, I raise up my cup. I give it my best. She lifts me up and I feel so blessed. 'Cause God is great. God is good. She's cooking up some love and soul food and keeping us breathing. And if I'm breathing, I got everything I need. Yeah. The more we share, the more we'll have. The more we care, the longer we'll last. The more you give it all away, you will always have enough because the more you love, you will always be loved. You will always be loved.
Hmm.
If I've got cake and I try eating it all by myself, then I'm high and nobody else is. And my frequency is set on selfish. And I'm not even sure how good my health is. And I should eat it before it starts melting. This would be easier if friends were helping. Yeah, we can give, it's a blessing. It's a blessing now. The more we share, the more we'll have. Yeah. The more we care, longer we'll last. The more you give it all away, you will always have enough because the more you love, you will always be loved. You will always be loved. Yeah, you gotta give it. and give it a little bit more. Especially forgiveness, which means to give as you've given before. You gotta give it, give it, give it a little bit more. To find true riches, you gotta give like you've never before. The more we share, the more we'll have. The more we care, the longer we'll last. The more we give it all away, you will always have enough, because the more you love, you will always be loved. You'll always be loved. You'll always be loved. Whoa, it's from the heart. You'll always fill with fire, fire. Get from the heart. I'm getting hoarse. My falsetto is not real strong right now, but that's okay.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those lyrics are epic.
Uh,
Oh,
kind of
oh,
cool.
we got someone who just joined. We're just closing out, but I will post this and you can watch that. Hi, photos tell stories. They sure do. That was so beautiful, Michael. And I was just thinking the whole time how, oh, look who's here. Look at this guy.
Oh, wow, what's that?
Some kind of moth.
Wow.
Oh, can you see it well? It's really pretty. Hang on.
Yeah.
We got a friend.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, I was just thinking how far you've come. You know, your energy is really good tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, much self inner critic stuff. Like, I don't need to remember all the words, or it's not easy a cappella. And I've been talking for like an hour and a half, and I haven't been drinking
You're
much.
free.
Yeah,
You're free, Michael.
just embracing all the different ways my voice sounds different times, and let myself sing along to rock stuff more too, and just screaming more. And so, yeah, it's all good.
We did it. We
Yeah.
effing did it.
Oh, yeah. I do some rap more. Yeah. Some interesting lyrics in that one that feel kind of fitting to quantum entanglement and my life. Like, a whole bunch of his songs are just ridiculously, obviously, like something with our souls, like arranged for this. It's hard. It's fitting for everybody, but it's also really personal to me, and it's like it's just wild. If his soul, and it's like then my human is like, do I deserve that? Like, how could I think that Jason Mraz, his soul had him write stuff that's partially for me? It's just wild. But I mean, like, God has shown me like old lyrics, like 25-year-old songs that have wildly interesting new interpretations based off of things I'm going through. And it's like just the right moment that I get guided on. You might want to listen to this song again, because you might find it fitting, like Tonight Not Again, Childlike Wildlife, just now all these Weezer songs and Counting Crows songs and Beatles songs. And it's just really interesting how there's so many hundreds of them that are really important to listen closely to for these
Yeah.
times.
Weezer was a more recent thing that you realized. I need to
Yeah,
play a lot of Weezer this week.
yeah, Pinkerton
Yeah.
especially, it's so beautiful and raw. It's less polished probably, but it's
I do
more
like that album. Yeah.
really, really like expressing a lot of deep emotion. Um, so it's really beautiful. And so many
Thank
every
you.
song on that album is just like fitting to my life right now. Like, all it's like crazy. So I'm just like singing along in the car. I recorded like these Neo's Pinkerton sessions, and I'm getting to know it even better. When I was on my way to my therapist yesterday, I was singing along even better to it. But 3 or 4 nights ago, I was like smoking weed and just like sitting in my car for 3 hours, just recording myself sing 2-minute clips of harmonizing, singing in unison. That Butterfly song at the end of the album is really beautiful. Jason has a song named Butterfly as well. No coincidences. That song also begins with the word yesterday. There's a reference to like health when he's talking about the 18-year-old girl from Japan. my soulmate possibilities, this 18-year-old girl, lamenting that she's so far away from him, and how he could never touch
Why
her.
are you so far
I,
away from
I
me?
never help but your way across the sea, and it's reference to like, you know, John Lennon singing "Help." I mean, the lyric, it's just really fascinating once you can observe the connections and recognize them at a rate that you can observe objectively that it's not coincidence. It's just really amazing puzzle that Spirit put together for us to just be blown away by progressively coming up soon.
Your mind is just like boom,
Endless, just
boom, 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 firing.
jumps around.
All right, I gotta go to bed, Michael, but that was awesome.
Thank you.
I will upload this video. You need to approve it this time,
Okay,
though,
well, I'll get them both posted very soon.
and I'll upload it as a podcast as well.
All
It's
right,
only on Spotify right now, but I'll put it on Apple soon.
all right, cool. I never thought I would be on those things with a podcast. That's weird.
Yeah, I know. Like, I was thinking last year we were sort of mentioning this would happen, right? That we would do lives together, and we're actually doing it. And it was hard to imagine
Right.
before because our level of consciousness was very different then. And
Mhm.
yeah, we've just really, um, I don't want to say, well, we've integrated a lot.
Yeah,
We've integrated a lot. And now you're here and you're singing live, and it's just amazing. I mean, we never would have imagined, you know.
that's a huge step for me because, like, even just singing into my camera when I'm recording to maybe share it at some point, like, there's still a quality that's challenging for me with like feeling like I'm performing and trying to get more natural and present, and so I'd have moments for the last several months where I would feel this spark of um, feeling like I had some insights to share. My voice felt good. I wanted to sing, and then I would almost feel like, oh, I have to capture it. But it was also sort of like an attachment to like sharing stuff. And eventually, I was going to transcend where I was anyway.
Yeah, this is perfect. You know, if we did this any earlier, it just wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, and by 3 weeks from now, we might just be super, super like pros and just going live with Phil and Lori and just talking about consciousness for 4 hours and having our soulmates join us and having Alec and people and who knows, or at some point in the summer, and then yeah, set the intention, let it go, and yeah,
Yep,
just
no
seven,
judgment,
7,
no attachments.
and then who knows, 11:11 midnight, just going to 777. We'll finish our live, and then we'll just go long drive and fall in love, and probably
That sounds beautiful. Oh, I just remembered. Ryan has the same, Ryan has reached the same conclusion as us when we were discussing about how free, if we have free will or not.
mm,
Like, how much control do we actually have? He's basically reached the same conclusion. And the other thing I was going to tell you about him that I discovered today is that he is also terrified of singing for other people.
oh, he sings.
He sings, but not. It's something he's been working on, just like you and me.
Huh. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, when he was Adam. Okay. We're probably doppelgangers, realistically. He might be another Christ avatar. Not necessarily, no attachment.
Well, I wasn't gonna give that away, but that's basically why I want you to talk to him.
Yeah, because that's what I've been experiencing now, where I'm starting to feel like I'm being guided on how to. Now, some of these avatars, these doppelgangers are pretty famous, like Jim Carrey and Rafael Nadal and Aaron Paul. Some of these names that
Yeah.
I've been told. So,
You need to hear who he was before.
yeah, because Adam, that makes sense. Because when he told
Yeah.
Buzz, wait, that probably is one of mine too. And so yeah, he's probably a Christ soul avatar. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah,
interesting.
you got it. You got it. I was probably already sending you that info.
Telepathically.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
All right.
I could talk for hours, but I
Yeah.
gotta go, dude.
All right.
I
Great
love
talking
you.
to you. I love you.
This was awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. You're
Truly,
great.
I'm so proud of you. And that's not even cutting it. I don't like using that word because it just doesn't cover
Thank
what
you
I'm
so much.
trying to convey.
So proud of you today. You've come so far.
Thank you. I can't wait to see you. I'll try and make it happen that we'll end up in New Jersey very soon.
Cool. Just don't
All
do it
right.
when I'm on my trip to California. Could you imagine?
Well, maybe we can, like, I don't know, while you're on your way there, we might meet up
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we need those hugs.
Yeah.
All right. I love you. Take care. Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Lots of love. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.